Hi everyone. Happy Monday evening. First let me say, I don't know why that this light above my head is glowing like this. Does it normally do that when I'm on video? I haven't even noticed that. Um, so, I don't know. Let's just say it's a light of spirit shining in my room. Yeah, let's go with that. I like that. How are you tonight? I am doing well. I just ate some dinner, so I feel good. I have a full belly and happy. I think you have a follow or a subscribe button below here. If you want to know when I'm on live, click that button and you will get notified if you're on Facebook when I go live. And also, if you have anybody you want to share this with who you think this might help, please feel free to share it for me. I would appreciate that very much. Thank you. And hey, behind me you can see this crazy painting that I'm working on. Oh, that's cool that I moved it over there. That is one of my soul art pieces that I'm working on, and I just want you to know that art can be messy and it can be crazy and it can not make any sense. But if you're doing it for the purpose of diving in and getting to know yourself and, cultivating your inner wisdom, developing your intuition, which is what we're going to talk about tonight, healing things that need to be healed, making new space inside, art like that is awesome. It's an awesome tool for that. So just a little side plug for some soul art, for some creativity in general. So tonight I want to talk about 5 really fun ways, and maybe surprising, I don't know, to develop your intuition, to get your intuition to come out and play with you. If you go and play with it, it's going to come out and play with you. So these are things that I teach my clients and my students, and it's all about having fun with what you're doing, because we don't have to be on a a spiritual journey that's all serious and heavy. It can be fun, it can be light, and it can be playful, and that's what I want it to be in my life, and so that's how I teach people about it. And I hope that you will find some things that make it fun for you to, go on your spiritual journey, your inner journey, developing your intuition, developing your psychic abilities, whatever that is. I hope you have fun with it and find ways to play with it. So tonight I'm going to give you 5 ways to develop your intuition that are fun to me. And the first way is to look for signs, synchronicities, and messages. And you might say, well, I can't do that until my intuition's working, right? I won't know that they're coming, or, I already do that. But I want you to pay attention to that and feel into what comes when you see something that you think is a message. Like, what comes in? Hey Lauren, nice to see you. So the first thing is to look for signs, synchronicities, and messages. And what comes up for you when you see something that you think might be a sign? How do you feel about it? Does it resonate with you? Does it make sense? And how do you recognize your signs? So you might be asking for a sign. You might be saying, I need a sign for this thing that I want to do, or confirmation, or whatever. And you have to look for that stuff, and you have to keep your eyes peeled. And so Lauren says, I get excited if it confirms what I want, but upset if it doesn't. Well, yeah. Well, you have to be open to whatever it's telling you, right? And feel into what that feels. And if it doesn't confirm for you what you want, then maybe there's something better out there for you, or something that's waiting for you, or something that you need to do in order to, turn the corner or open the next door, or whatever the case may be. So keep looking and watching for those. And messages can be fun. And, not everything also is a message. But like for me, messages will be finding feathers. I love finding feathers, and I find them all over the place. And to me, they're like little beacons of support when I find them. So That's one thing for me. Finding pennies, a lot of people say, you find a penny and it's your angels that are confirming that they're there and supporting you, and same thing with feathers. Other things for messages and signs would be animals, so weird animal behavior. Yes, Lauren, seeing 1111 a lot is a sign for sure. Well, let me say this. It can be a sign. So what you want to do is, Google it. Google angel numbers. Google animal medicine or animal totems or whatever the sign is that you're seeing. And read a couple of things that you find online and see if it resonates with you. And if it feels like a message, then there is no harm in taking it as a message. So 1111, I will just tell you while you're here, when you see the repeated ones, it means you are manifesting things quickly, so you need to watch your thoughts. So that's a big one, right? And what does that feel like to you, Lauren? Does that feel true? Does that feel like, yeah, I should probably watch my thoughts? Yes, things happen for me quickly. Feel into that and see if it resonates with you, if it makes sense. And you might notice too that seeing signs, you will see them in groups and then you might not see them. So when you go for a while and you don't see things that you feel like are signs, to me, when I realize, I haven't seen that in a long time, I haven't seen repeating numbers, or I haven't found a feather in a while, I need to get back on track. So, just pay attention to what you're seeing, get information about it, take it in and see if it resonates with you. And so Lauren says yes and no, it does and it doesn't resonate with her. So maybe it's giving you information that you need. So just pay attention. So if the message is, Lauren, 1111, the repeating ones is that you're manifesting quickly. Be careful with your thoughts, because when you have negative thoughts, then you manifest negative things quickly. So that's what it's saying. It's like, be careful what you think, because it's going to happen pretty fast for you. So if it doesn't resonate all the way, then just pay attention. Like, maybe this is really happening and I'm just not noticing. So just use it as kind of a little awakening, like, hey, okay, pay attention, see what's happening here, and see if it fits or not. And if it never fits and if it doesn't make any sense, then don't worry about it. Not everything is a message. But if you start recognizing things that you think are messages and you take them in and evaluate them as a message, then you're going to realize you're getting more messages than you thought, okay? So that's fun, is to find those messages. And that's number one in developing your intuition. So number two, that is a fun way to develop your intuition, is your feel-goods and your non-negotiables. So in your day, in your week, in your life, what activities do you do for yourself that feel good, like feel good to your soul, and feel good to your energy? Things for me are like, reading cards. If I get really overwhelmed and frazzled and I'm going in a million different directions, sometimes I feel like I just need to stop and pull a card, and that feels good to me. And whether or not that actually, makes a change in my physiology, who cares? It makes me feel good. Sometimes I will stop everything that I'm doing and doodle or color, because it feels good and it helps me to relax. So what are your feel goods? Because when you can tune into your own energy like that, then your intuition is going to open up more, because you're paying attention to the little subtleties that are happening, okay? Same thing with your non-negotiables. So every morning, so let me back up. 5 days a week, I get up and it's my job to feed the dogs and let them out and take care of them in the morning. 2 days a week, it's my husband. I don't know how he got off so lightly on that duty, but so I get, yeah, right. I come down and I feed them, and while they're eating, I put my feet up on my desk and I close my eyes and I visualize my business being successful. That is something I do every morning. And it's like, I need that, and I want that to set my day. That is non-negotiable for me, to sit down and do that. I'm not starting any work until I do that visualization. So what are your non-negotiables and how do they feel good for you? So Emily says, doing yoga every morning and anchoring down at night with meditation. I also use journaling when I need to recharge or tune in more. Yeah, that's awesome, Emily. That kind of stuff is what's going to help you develop your intuition, because you're going inward and you're closing out all of the noise that happens out here and getting quiet so that you can hear your inner voice. Another thing that I do that Emily just reminded me of is at night, and my dogs are going to decide to play right now, and that's my son with his little squeaky ball. Life happens around here. So at night, when I lay down in bed, I say my gratitudes. So I will say, Dear God, thank you for this day and your many blessings. And I will start to list things I'm thankful for, things that I'm grateful for, things that made me feel really good during the day, and even, you know, things that I want to manifest or things that I want to create or call into my life that I haven't yet. I still say gratitudes for them as if I have them. So those are two of my non-negotiables. So figure out what yours are and make them absolutely non-negotiable, right? Like, make them be the things that make you feel good, the things that raise your vibration, that lift your energy, and do them no matter what. And they don't have to take long. They can take 30 seconds. Another one that I do, another one of my feel goods is I make tea a lot, and I will put a mug of water in the microwave for a minute and a half. Yes, I microwave the water. And so for that minute and a half, I will step back and lean against the counter and close my eyes and meditate for 90 seconds. Does it change my life? You know, maybe not, but does it make me feel better in the moment? Yes. Does it quiet my brain? Yes. Does it help me kind of settle and get back into my body? Absolutely. So all those kind of things, okay? So your non-negotiables and your feel-goods, things that raise your vibration and that feel good to you and good to your soul, do those things, okay? And they're going to help your intuition get stronger because you get quieter and you can hear it, okay? So that's number 2. Number 3 is be wildly creative. So if you missed me talking about this earlier, that is one of my soul art paintings back there, and it looks like a mess, and it looks like, you know, is that art? Who knows? But it's being creative, and it's letting your creative urges, your primal feelings, your inner wisdom, the things that need to be healed, it lets them come out and it gives them a voice, because a lot of those things don't have words. And so if you can get them out in a creative sort of way, you're accessing a whole different part of your brain, letting those things come out and speak through you. And then when you do that and you release all of that, number 1, you're getting to know your soul landscape. So that's super important for your intuition. Number 2, you're clearing things out and you're making space. So making space is always good for, you know, developing your intuition, because you need that space in order for it to be able to speak to you. And then you're learning your own soul language. Like that art back there, when I finish that, so it's in the middle of being done. But when I finish that, I will read it for shapes and images that show up and messages, and I will feel into the colors, and, you know, because I'm doing all of that intuitively. I'm not planning that out. It's a process called soul art, and I'm doing that intuitively and letting come out what wants to come out, and then at the end it will speak to me and it will have messages. So creativity is hugely important in order to develop your intuition, and a lot of people don't know that. So I really want you to be creative whenever you can, and you don't have to paint. I mean, it can be other ways of creativity. It can be doodling, it can be, you know, cooking, it can be gardening, anything that is creative for you that you are creating on the spot, do that, because it makes a huge, huge difference, okay? So the first thing was look for signs, synchronicities, and messages. The second thing was come up with your feel-goods and your non-negotiables and do them on a regular basis. And the third thing was be wildly creative. Now the fourth thing in our list of fun ways that will help you develop your intuition is to imagine like a child. So kids, I mean, think of kids. Did you have a, imaginary friend when you were younger? I don't actually remember if I had an imaginary friend. I think I wanted to. And I always felt like I didn't. But I did. So on a little side note, you have different psychic senses. You have clairvoyance, which is the clear seeing, so you see images in your mind. Clairaudience, which is clear hearing, so you might hear things inside your head or voices inside of your ears. Clairsentience, which is clear feeling, so you get body sensations, you feel emotions, empathy, that kind of stuff. And claircognizance, which is clear knowing, so you have thoughts that pop in that aren't related to anything that's really happening in your life. So, a lot of the kids, when they say, I have an imaginary friend, and they can see their friend and they're talking to their friend, they are using clairvoyance, so clear vision. They're imagining it, they're seeing it. Is imagining different than visualizing? No, not really. It's the same. So imagining and visualizing, when you're visualizing, like you're making images up in your head, right? You're imagining what you see, and you're visualizing what you want to see and what you want to experience. And even if you're visualizing something that already exists, like you're visualizing what your kitchen looks like, you're still using your imagination, and you're still using that imagination muscle. So definitely practice that. What if you often get what you imagine? Well, that's manifesting, and that's manifesting your thoughts and manifesting what it is that you are calling into being. So what happens is, when you are visualizing something, you create it in a different realm. So it's at a very high vibration, and it doesn't exist in physical reality. You've created it kind of up here, and you see it in your mind, and you've got it, in your thoughts. Then you bring the energy down through your chakras until it gets dense enough that it comes in physical reality. So that's what you're doing. So you're manifesting that way. And that's awesome. That's great. So if that's something that works for you, definitely keep doing it, for sure. And also pay attention, because you are getting information through those channels. So like through visualizing and through your clairvoyant channel and your third eye channel, and that way you're getting information in, and your intuition will speak to you. So if you have very clear visions, like visualization is not the strongest for me. Mine is claircognizance and clairsentience. So feeling and knowing. Visualizing isn't so clear for me, so it's not my strongest sense for information to come in. But if you've got very clear vision and you see things very clearly in your mind, and the images are very strong, then you have a very strong sense of clairvoyance, and your intuitive information will come in that way. Okay? So imagining, number one, opens up your visual sense, your clairvoyant sense, but it also moves you into a place of working in the unknown. So if you're imagining stuff that doesn't exist, or at least doesn't exist in your physical reality, or if you're imagining things that are, outside of the normal, like kids imagine all sorts of goofy, wild, crazy stuff, right? So if you're imagining stuff like that, you are training yourself to work in a realm that's outside of physical reality and outside of the normal, and you're expanding your awareness so that you can get information that comes in, so that when you experience something that is unusual or strange, you say, oh, I recognize that as information, and you recognize that coming in through your intuitive senses. Okay, so imagination is a super important sense, a super important tool to use to develop your intuition and to manifest. So keep that up, Lauren. That's awesome. I love that. So that was number 4, imagine like a child. So number 1 was look for signs, synchronicities, and messages. Number 2 is decide on your feel goods and your non-negotiables and do them all the time. Number 3 is be wildly creative. Number 4 was imagine like a child. And number 5 is to get in alignment with the cycles of nature. So we go through cycles all the time, right? You have day and night. You have seasons, so spring, summer, winter, fall. You have the moon cycles, which if you've followed me for any length of time, you know I talk about the moon cycles all the time, love them. You know, you have solstice and equinox. We have all sorts of cycles. Women cycle about every month, right? Because we are in the modern world where we come up with, you know, against all sorts of stress and toxins and issues. You know, your cycle may not be regular. It may not be every 28 days or 29 days, but around that, right? Women's cycle. So what that is doing for your intuition is it's getting you in harmony with the earth and the universal energy that exists out there. So the more you work with cycles, the more you get in tune with that energy. So you can get in tune with nature, you can get in tune with the moon and the sun, you get in tune with your body. So all of that really helps you to open up your intuition because you become way more sensitive to know when the information comes in. And that's what your intuition's doing, right? It's picking up information that comes in other than through your 5 physical senses. That's what we want to do, is we want to open up the other senses. So getting in tune with the cycles is a really big one because it puts you in tune with nature and with the earth and with the universe. So to me, what I love about this is that, to me, it's like being in a secret club, you know, and there's energy underlying, like, life, the main outward going life. You know, people who aren't aware or awake or are not in tune with themselves. Emily, I will answer your question, one sec. So, you know, people who are not so awake and aware and people who are very outward reaching, that's one energy. But there's like an underlying energy of nature and the universe and the magic that exists out there. And, you know, the intuition and your higher self and your, you know, accessing your soul and your psychic abilities and all of that exists on that like underlying energy. So it's really fun, and so that's why I feel like it's a secret club that you're in when you are going inward and you're learning that and you're tapping into all of that and accessing that information and that energy, and you become so much more sensitive to receiving information. Okay, so getting in tune with the cycles. And if you're interested, I do have a free moon planner that walks you through a whole moon cycle to set an intention and how to use each phase of the moon. I'll put a link up for that if you want that. That's free. And so Emily's question is, I'm curious how women's cycles impact intuition. Are we more or less sensitive at different points in our cycle? Emily, I would say yes, we are more sensitive at different parts of our cycles. So I think traditionally, you know, women would flow with the full moon. And the full moon, we are more sensitive because the veil is thinner. There's more illumination of behind the curtain and, you know, the shadows that come up, the shadow self, there's more illumination into that. And women specifically, you know, the moon is related to the feminine energy, the yin energy. And so we are more in tune with that in general. I would say because of the way we live in society now and we're so fast-paced and, like, again, you know, we experience toxins and stress and all sorts of stuff every day, I think that now, yes, we're more sensitive during different parts of our cycles, but you need to pay attention and see when you specifically are more in tune, when your intuition is deeper. And, you know, pay a lot of attention to when you're feeling more sensitive, more emotional, more easily triggered, because your senses are heightened during that time. Yeah, and so you want to pay attention to that for you, for your cycle, and see if your intuitive hunches and your gut feelings are stronger during that time, because they will be. You just have to learn how to tune into it, okay? So that's number 5, is getting in alignment with the cycles, with nature, and joining the secret club. I love that. So just to recap, so the 5 ways to develop your intuition that I talked about tonight: look for your signs, synchronicities, and messages. They are fun when they start coming up. Not everything has to be a message, but it's, if you start paying attention and you start asking if things are messages, and then feeling into if they resonate with you, that's a good way to really start learning about them. Oh yeah, emotions are definitely stronger, but they seem to cloud the quiet whispers. Well, yeah, you know what, Emily, you're absolutely right. The emotions get heightened, and that makes, they come to the surface, and so it is harder to tap into that stuff. So, yeah, but being aware of that is a great way to start paying attention, and let your emotions be your intuitive information, because that's another way that it's going to come in for you. So pay attention to when your emotions are heightened and what that is telling you. So take that, evaluate that internally, and ask yourself, what is this telling me that I'm feeling so sensitive, I'm being so easily triggered, I'm so upset? Where is that mirroring back to me? What information is that giving me about my own life, about my own journey? And just ask questions like that, because strong emotions like that are definitely going to be intuitive information. Okay? That is a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So number 2 was your feel goods and your non-negotiables. What feels good for you, and what's going to be non-negotiable? Like, what do you have to put in your daily routine, even if it only takes 30 seconds? Do that, because it's for your own benefit and your own good, and it's going to help your inner journey a lot. Number 3, be wildly creative, like my crazy painting back there. So splatter paint, doodle, draw, without regard to the outcome of whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't matter what it looks like. What matters is that you're getting out what's inside, and you're clearing channels in order for your intuition to be able to speak to you, okay? Number 4, imagine like a child. Make stuff up. See stuff in your head. One of my favorite things, I forgot to mention this before, but one of my favorite things doing visualizations is if I need to go somewhere in a visualization, I love to ride a magic carpet. Absolutely love it. So that's one of my favorite things to visualize and imagine, is me sitting on a flying carpet, flying through the universe, and imagining what it looks like, what it feels like underneath me, how it's supporting me, how the wind is blowing in my hair, whatever. So imagine like a child and just make stuff up and really use your visualization sense. And then get in alignment with the natural cycles, okay? All of those things are going to help you develop your intuition, clear out your channels, help it to speak to you more, and help you be more aware of it. So those are my 5 fun ways. And again, you should have a button below you that says follow or subscribe. If you would like to know when I'm online, you can click that. And feel free to share this with anybody who you think might enjoy it. And have a wonderful evening. I'm so glad you joined me here tonight, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.